further clouding hopes for a truce.
We will have to do what it takes to defend our citizens.
Success in the firefight in Northern California. Many homes are now off the endangered list.
Those guys are fantastic.
The ailing U.S. economy and the disagreements on the best way to fix it. And the controversial methods now being used to teach wolves to stay away from livestock.
With time, they recognize that the calf is largely to be avoided.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News, reported by John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. Arab militants unleashed a new wave of violence against Israel today. A suicide bomber set off an explosion outside a crowded train station, killing 3 Israelis and wounding 30 others. It was one of 3 separate attacks in Israel and the West Bank that drew a quick response from the Israeli military. NBC's Donna Friesen reports.
Tonight, Israel is reeling from yet another suicide bombing. This one has an ominous new twist. The target, a typically busy place, a railway platform in the northern Israeli town of Nahariya. The bomber blew himself up in a crowd of civilians and soldiers.
I didn't see the explosion. The explosion was behind me, about 1 or 2 meters behind me.
The new twist? Police have tentatively identified the bomber not as a young single male from Palestinian territory, as past attackers have been, but 55 years old, married with children, an Arab with Israeli citizenship, who police say they've been searching for since he disappeared from this village several days ago. Until now, Israeli Arabs, more than 1 million of whom live in Israel, have rarely been implicated in attacks. Earlier this morning, another gruesome scene. A van full of teachers was ambushed in the West Bank. The driver and 1 teacher, both Israeli, were killed. As police investigated those attacks, yet another explosion. A car blew up beside a bus near the city of Netanya. The driver of the car was killed. Police suspect he was on his way into town when the explosives detonated prematurely. By this time, Israel was retaliating. American-made Apache helicopters fired missiles at Palestinian military and police buildings in 4 West Bank towns. There were several injuries, but no deaths. As officials surveyed the damage, a moment of panic. Israeli helicopters were hovering, and a Palestinian official believed to be on Israel's hit list was hustled out of the building.
This will not stop the intifada and the resistance. This will escalate the intifada and the resistance against the Israelis.
Islamic extremist groups claimed responsibility for today's attacks, but Israel continues to blame Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat.
There's a whole structure that carries out these attacks, and the Palestinian Authority is doing nothing to stop it.
Late today, Prime Minister Ariel Sharon's cabinet debated its options, including tighter restrictions on Palestinian-occupied territories. After nearly a year of bloodshed, the violence has settled into a relentless routine of attack, retaliation, and revenge. There were plans by the 2 sides to hold talks over a possible truce, but this suicide bombing and the other attacks have cast serious doubts over whether that meeting will take place. Donna Friesen, NBC News, Nahariya, Israel.
To the American West now, where the fire season rages on, as do fires in 4 states. 10 large blazes continue in Montana, Idaho, Washington, and California, where one fire has been especially destructive. But as NBC's Chip Reed tells us, firefighters are making progress.
Marching to the front lines, firefighters took advantage of light winds today, finally beginning to get a handle on this 7,700-acre blaze. They're building miles of fire breaks, wide enough to keep the fire contained.
We're going to put in about 1.5 miles of line down here and follow this dozer break down.
Others are mopping up, dousing hot spots, especially tree stumps that can smolder for weeks and could restart the fire later if not extinguished.
We're not getting any wind in here, and if we did start to get wind, we'd have to change our tactics in here, I'm sure.
26 homes were destroyed here most Friday morning when rivers of flame surged through mountain canyons. At that time, more than 400 homes were threatened. By Saturday, it was down to 200, now only a handful.
It's very scary. You always think
These friends were all fortunate. Their homes were spared, and for that, they thanked the firefighters.
I think a lot of people is unaware of how much effort these guys put into doing their job. Strictly professionals.
I found that my house was still here. That made me pretty happy.
Far less fortunate were Sue and Jerry Schlett, who were rescued by firefighters with only seconds to spare. Their home destroyed.
And they said, wait, wait, wait. And Jerry says, I can't take another breath. Wait. Out of here. And they drug us out of there as fast as they could.
When the door opened, they created a backdraft that came in, and our house exploded behind us.
They lost virtually everything they owned. The hardest part, they say, 15 animals, including a horse, 2 cats, and 2 dogs. This fire is now 50% contained, and fire officials say if weather conditions do not worsen, it will be completely contained by midweek. They also say it is unlikely that any more homes will be lost. Chip Reed, NBC News, Yankee Hill, California.
It appears tonight that Aaron, the first hurricane of the season, is not going to produce major damage. Tonight, it's blowing past Bermuda into the open sea, close enough to cause rain and some wind, but there's no danger of flooding. Flights to the island were canceled today, but cruise ships like this one left pretty much on schedule. It's due to arrive in Bermuda on Tuesday. Now to the sputtering U.S. economy and the search for ways to give it a jump start. The White House has already signaled its willingness to consider a targeted tax cut. Here's NBC's John Palmer.
Though the president still has faith that his tax refund will work, White House officials confirmed today that he is actively considering a cut in the capital gains tax as a way to get more money flowing into the nation's sagging economy. The capital gains proposal, which would reduce the tax on profits from the sale of stocks, bonds, and property, has strong support among Republicans.
If you're looking for additional growth in the economy quickly, the capital gains tax rate cut would clearly do that.
Reducing capital gains doesn't even cost the government money. I think you'll have such increased economic activity. It will generate positive economic revenues.
It's a good thing for the economy. It gets the investors working in the American economy, gets capital moving again.
But some Democrats have reservations.
This is a tax cut largely for the very wealthiest. 70% or more of the benefit goes to the top few percent.
Heightened interest in moving quickly to stimulate the economy was prompted by the latest unemployment figures, showing nearly 7 million Americans out of work last month. That's 500,000 more than in July, pushing the unemployment rate to 4.9%. Adding to the economic concerns of falling stock prices, fueled by lower corporate earnings and a dip in consumer confidence. This coming week, the president had planned to focus exclusively on his education initiatives. But now, according to Mr. Bush's aides, he will add a message of reassurance about the economy nearly every day. John Palmer, NBC News at the White House.
When NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, another multiple murder in Sacramento. Finding genetic fingerprints for a flu virus. And later in Focus, behind the Supreme Court's decision on Bush versus Gore.
You'd try anything to get some relief from your nasal allergy symptoms. But before you change your life, make an easier change. Multi-symptom Flonase relieves all these nasal allergy symptoms: sneezing, itchy, runny nose, and congestion. Flonase once a day relieves them all day and night. For best results, use daily. Side effects are generally mild and may include headache, nosebleed, or sore throat. Ask your doctor about multi-symptom Flonase. When you get it all it takes is Flonase.
Super Polygrip keeps my dentures in very, very tight. I use Super Polygrip every morning, and it lasts from morning until evening. With Super Polygrip, I can eat every kernel of corn.
Also try Polygrip free.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me, 'cause you heard the designers I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me, saying, never again, come back and see me. Yesterday, you've forgiven me, but it'll still be today till I say I'm sorry. Like vanilla, it's the finest of the flavors. And to see the show, 'cause then you know the girl goes at my door and the banger is you'll have to sign a waiver. I have a tendency to wear my mind on my sleeve. I had this it's been 1 week since you looked at me, dropped your ass to the side and said I'm sorry.
The stock market. A year ago, it was how high is high. Now everyone's asking where's the bottom. Janice has gotten through tough times the same way we've gotten ahead, picking stocks one at a time, looking for opportunities for over 30 years. Janice is looking right now to be in the right place when a downturn turns into a better day. get there. Janus Mutual Funds.
Robert? Robert!
If a clog does this to you, do this to a clog. Drano-Max is thicker than professional strength liquid plumber, so it sticks to remove clogs better. So you don't get bent out of shape. Relax. You've got Drano-Max.
S.C. Johnson. This week on Today, what you can do right now, inside and out, to make the most of what you've got. Living better, living longer. A special series only on Today.
For the second time in less than a month, police in Sacramento, California have mounted a manhunt for a multiple killer. A man described as a disgruntled former security guard murdered 4 people last night, 3 of them his ex-co-workers. Police say he is heavily armed and is threatened to begin a bloodbath. White supremacist literature was found in his apartment.
You need your tripod?
For 4 years, scientists have been studying a frightening and deadly outbreak of flu in Hong Kong. It started in chickens, but managed to jump to people, a rare occurrence. Now scientists have made strides in sorting out the mystery. From Hong Kong, here's NBC's Ned Colt.
The research has taken years in the lab. Scientists studying Hong Kong's deadly outbreak of a new strain of flu in 1997. Unusually virulent, it killed poultry in what looked like minutes. The Hong Kong government preemptively slaughtered millions of birds, dumping them in landfills, sanitizing markets. A successful effort to keep the flu from becoming a global epidemic. Even so, that flu did something unexpected and frightening. It infected 18 people, 6 of whom died. A fast and efficient killer.
It's very difficult, fortunately, for a virus to make that jump. It would much prefer to stay in its natural surroundings in the chicken. But on rare occasions, it can do it.
That's what researchers are trying to stop. And time is essential. Since 1997, Hong Kong has had 2 more massive bird culls because new strains of the flu appeared. Scientists have made progress in finding the genetic change that makes a viral strain so deadly. Just a couple of genes may make the difference.
And it also shows that 2 rather small changes in those 2 genes could lead to a conversion job, as it were, that a virus that's fairly innocuous can suddenly turn into a killer.
Researchers say it's a step toward pinpointing potentially deadly strains of the virus that could soon provide an early warning about which flu strains may be the most dangerous. Ned Colt, NBC News, Hong Kong.
Now a compelling story of survival. The journey orphaned children took from the killing fields in their African homeland to new homes in the United States. Their transition is the subject of a Dateline special tonight, reported by Tom Brokaw.
They're known as the Lost Boys, thousands of young men who survived an incredible odyssey, fleeing a brutal civil war in their African homeland, Sudan, covering miles on foot. And now, they're coming to America.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Seattle.
Have you ever seen anything quite like the boys from Sudan?
Absolutely not.
It might as well be a distant planet. Simple things like chicken broth are a mystery.
What do you think is in that? Do I know? Just normal water. What do you think of? There is no soup? No soup, it's a water only.
They were full of questions, including some tough ones for me.
Why many people are homeless? And I was told this country is a land of opportunity.
Well, it's very hard. In some cases, there are people who don't have skills. There are people who have a mental illness, or they may have a problem with alcohol. Some people have just had bad fortune. There are many reasons for having homeless people, not just one reason. But if you really try hard here, almost anyone can get a job.
I do understand. Do government assist them?
Yes. In Seattle and in big cities, they have homeless shelters. They're not very pleasant places to go. They're kind of camps. You're fortunate because there are many people who care about you and are worrying about your welfare.
The war that forced them from their homes is one most Americans know little about.
Since we came, there are some people keep on asking us, where are you from and what was the problem?
Why don't more Americans know about what's going on in Sudan?
Yes.
And that question, why don't Americans know more about the war in Sudan, is one that many politicians are asking as well. But the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Joe Biden, a Democrat from Delaware, says Sudan's war is especially difficult to resolve.
Why has that really not been on the radar screen very much?
I think people tend not to put things on the radar screen that you can't do much about.
But candidly speaking, isn't it also hard to arouse public support for almost any kind of civil strife going on in Africa when it involves people who happen to be black?
Well, I think that's probably true. You're talking about an area of the world that's beyond our reach in a sense, unless we were willing to say we're going to put 50, 75, 100,000 forces on the ground in there. And I don't think Americans are willing to do that anywhere.
Just 3 days ago, the Bush administration appointed a special envoy to Sudan, former Senator John Danforth. But for now, the war goes on. And for the lost boys, so does the struggle to find their place in their new country.
The full story of what the young refugees have already overcome and the challenges ahead on Dateline tonight at 7 Eastern Time. And when we continue, a behind-the-scenes account of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Being first is never easy. Will I make it? Will I be laughed at? Will it be worth it?
The long jump, the dash. Life is like a sport, and your feet take the impact hard. But new Stride Guard insoles absorb 50% more heel impact than these Dr. Scholl's. Take more impact in stride. New Stride Guard insoles.
What's as gentle as Senecot natural vegetable laxatives? Senecot tablets contain 100% natural senna. The original senna laxative shown to be effective in 50 clinical studies. Yet Senecot gives you overnight relief from occasional constipation gently. Senecot works gently, works overnight.
Our guarantee is our promise.
If you're not happy with your glasses, you can bring them back. No questions.
That's what LensCrafters' 30-day money-back guarantee is all about.
The reinvented Camry. Trust us, you're going to want one.
Monday, Alzheimer's. What if there was a way to detect the disease years before symptoms appear? Would you take the test? Don't miss NBC Nightly News Monday.
You don't have to spend a fortune on great-looking eyewear. Right now at LensCrafters, you can choose either a complete pair of prescription glasses or sunglasses for only $99. The $99 eyewear event. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Our guarantee is our promise.
If you're not happy with your glasses, you can bring them back. No questions.
That's what LensCrafters' 30-day money-back guarantee is all about.
The race is on. Join the fight against breast cancer.
In focus this evening, the Supreme Court decision that made George W. Bush the 43rd president. On its website tonight and in newsstand editions tomorrow, Newsweek magazine is reporting new details on how the justices felt. Here's NBC's Joe Johns.
It was a historic moment, the end of the presidential election more than 5 weeks after Election Day. Supreme Court deliberations are secret, and the justices generally keep their private thoughts to themselves. Now from Newsweek, a revealing glimpse of the court in the days after the ruling in Bush versus Gore. The broad contours of the court's 5-4 decision are well known. The majority, Justices Rehnquist, Scalia, O'Connor, Thomas, and Kennedy, voted to end the fight over a recount in Florida. The minority, Justices Breyer, Ginsburg, Souter, and Stevens, wanted to let the process continue, even if the outcome resulted in the final decision being left in the hands of the House of Representatives. According to published excerpts from a book by a Newsweek senior editor, Justice David Souter expressed his frustration about a month after the ruling, reportedly telling a group of prep school students if only he'd had one more day, he believed he would have prevailed. According to Newsweek, Justice Stephen Breyer later expressed outright anger as he and his colleagues were meeting with a group of Russian judges, calling the decision, quote, the most outrageous, indefensible thing the court had ever done. While 5-4 decisions are fairly common, such candid comments in print are rare for the Supreme Court.
When there's a report that says this is what really happened, here's what the people really thought, that's news. It's news because this institution is not one that is widely reported on and is relatively closed to that kind of reporting.
Meanwhile, the legacy of the case continues. In August, a commission chaired by former Presidents Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford recommended a lengthy list of election reforms to avoid a repeat of the deadlock in Florida. Reforms including holding federal elections on a national holiday, uniform standards for voting equipment, practices, and registration. But many Republicans suggest the issue of election reform has gotten too much attention to the detriment of the Supreme Court.
I think this is being way overblown by the left to try and malign the current justices on the Supreme Court who have done a terrific job.
President Bush has given his qualified support to the Reform Commission's report and said the system of elections needs to be improved, but getting agreement on specific changes may be hard to accomplish. Joe Johns, NBC News at the Supreme Court.
More on the Supreme Court decision and the fallout from it tomorrow on Today. As their father predicted, Williams won the U.S. Open tennis title last night. Big sister Venus defeated Serena in the first Grand Slam title match where sisters faced each other in 117 years. Here's what they had to say afterwards in their own words.
We both worked a long 15 years for this, and sisters are rivals. And this is a lot of people in families fight. And I guess our fighting is done on the court only because we never fight. Serena and I, we both know when we come out there that it's going to be two competitors competing against each other. And that's just the way it is. I always want Serena to win. And so it's kind of strange because I'm the big sister. I take care of Serena. I make sure she has everything, even if I don't have anything. And well, for the younger sisters, we always look up to the big sister, and we always want to win because they're always older and ahead of us, and always do. If I was playing a different opponent, I'd probably be a lot more joyful. But I'm happy to have won the U.S. Open again. It's nothing like winning a Grand Slam.
Venus and Serena Williams, siblings and rivals in their own words. When NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, the uneasy coexistence of ranchers and wolves.
What if you cause a serious accident? How much coverage should you have? Do you want lower premiums or a smaller deductible? What about rental car reimbursement? Some people say they can put a policy together in 15 minutes. I've never thought doing it fast was as important as getting it right. You're in good hands with Allstate. Mine.
Ouch! Pain again? I thought your dentist said brush with Sensodyne every day.
I stopped when the pain stopped.
Keep using it. It keeps working.
Sensodyne every day. Now try Sensodyne Tartar Control Plus Whitening every day.
In the old days, athlete's foot meant using Lotrimin AF or Tinactin for 4 whole weeks.
Who does that? Today, they're out. Because Lamisil AT changed everything. Lamisil AT kills the fungus with just 1 week's use.
Do you really have 4 weeks to use those other guys?
When your feet itch and burn, using Lamisil AT 1 week keeps you athlete's foot free for 3 months. Those old-timers, they don't promise that.
It's in a league all its own.
Lamisil AT, the best way to cure athlete's foot.
Morning, guys.
Hi.
Hey, morning.
Like to see how your cereals stack up the total?
Go ahead.
To get the iron in 1 bowl of total, you'll have to eat 2 bowls of cornflakes. For folic acid, try 4 bowls.
That's a really big spoon.
Want zinc? 10 bowls for you.
What's so funny?
Nothing.
Nice bowls.
Total has 100% of 11 vitamins and minerals in just 1 bowl.
We'll take the total. Sure. And give Junior the check.
What? Total Raisin Bran, Total Cornflakes. 1 bowl, 100%.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Cause you heard of the sign that I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me, saying, "Let's together come back and see me." Yesterday, you've forgiven me, but it'll still be today till I say I'm sorry. I like vanilla, it's the finest of the flavors. And to see the chokers and you know the vertigo is at my door and they don't bang your you like to sign a waiver. I have a tendency to wear my mind on my sleeve. It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Dropped your eyes to the sides and said I'm sorry.
NBC tonight. Young men, orphans of war. For years, they wandered the desert struggling to survive. Now, they've been offered a chance at a new life in America. But can these strangers in a strange land make it on their own? Tom Brokaw with the remarkable journey of The Lost Boys. Tonight, 7/6 Central on NBC.
Inside the real West Wing, NBC 1 week from Wednesday. A changing of the guard at GE, CNBC's parent company. An exclusive interview with CEO Jeffrey Immelt, Monday on CNBC Business Center at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Finally, teaching wolves out west to live by man's rules, a program to keep wolves away from livestock using non-lethal force. NBC's Jim Avila reports.
The great American bad guy in folklore and reality, the steely-eyed gray wolf. Now, one of the West's great comeback stories. Once wiped out by the guns of sheep herders, cattlemen, and the U.S. government. Today, successfully reintroduced to the West. Nearly 600 wolves again roam Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming.
It's less and less an issue about whether the wolves can survive and more an issue about how we will let them survive, where we will let them survive.
Paradise Valley, Montana, bordering Yellowstone National Park, but home to cattle ranchers and sheep grazers. Ground zero in the next phase of wolf recovery, finding a way for the wild animals, ranchers, and livestock to live side by side.
Without a doubt, there's room for wolves and livestock in the western U.S.
Ed Banks, wolf recovery coordinator for U.S. Fish and Wildlife. His job, keep the thriving wolf population away from nervous ranchers. Setting up alarms that warn landowners a wolf is close by, while waking up the night with frightening sounds. Also in his arsenal, noise-making bullets and beanbags designed to stun, not kill delinquent wolves.
It would knock them down and they would think that was a bad experience, I don't want to do that again.
Despite all that, some wolves learn to love the taste of sheep and cattle and can't be scared away. Last year in Paradise Valley, one wolf pack repeatedly attacked livestock. Of those 12 wolves, 7 had to be killed as incorrigible. These are the others, involuntary pioneers in a bold experiment, penned on media mogul Ted Turner's ranch, learning by electric shock not to eat beef.
It's not a meltdown shock. If you were to hold the collar, you could hang on to it.
Here's how it works.
The wolf's head is here.
The wolves are collared, and a calf, wrapped in a special blanket, wired to produce a 4-foot-wide electromagnetic field, is put in the pen with them. If the wolves get too close, the collar shocks them.
With time, they recognize that the calf is largely to be avoided.
An experiment in progress. 3 wolves from that killer pack released back into the wild in December. 1 recaptured and put to death for killing livestock again. But 2 appear to have remembered their lessons, avoiding the death sentence, alive to write the next chapter in the great American survival story of the Western wolf. Jim Avila, NBC News, Chicago.
And that's NBC Nightly News for this Sunday. Don't forget Dateline later tonight with Tom Brokaw's special report on the Lost Boys of Sudan. I'm John Siegenthaler in New York. I'll see you next weekend, if not before.